something having to do with the internet because it was taking a while for us to go live there on IG.
Yeah.
So for me, I knew that there had to be something that was going on there, just a lag of some kind. But hopefully this time we are live and good to go, right?
Yeah, so we're live right now. So.
Well, that's good. Hopefully don't get me on a hot mic moment right now. I'm sure that there are some people out there that would love to get that on me right now. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Patrick Carr Show. Thanks for joining us here on a Tuesday morning. We had some technical difficulties as we tried to make the first run. Luckily, it was only a few minutes into the show, so we got rid of that one. We're coming back to you right now. Anthony, per normal, is right over here. Hopefully you're hearing us a little bit better wherever you're joining us from. Anthony, you said earlier you hung a TV last night, and I was saying that you made it through hanging a TV with your girl. You can make it through anything.
Yep.
Home projects will test any relationship, and I think anybody who's been through them knows it. If you're a guy, we were talking about it, that you always want to be like the guy, but if she makes a suggestion and you don't listen to it and you're wrong, woo, you're in for it, bro. You're never going to let yourself forget it, and it's just going to be a round robin of you beating yourself up, her beating you up over it. It's never going to end.
Yeah.
So you got through that one, but you said there was a one time you dropped a screwdriver, you said, on a TV?
Yeah, there's one of the many times we hung up a TV. We dropped a screwdriver in the middle of it, and so there was like a little like speck of like pixel that wasn't there. You couldn't really see it, or like people couldn't really see it, but only me and her could see it.
Oh yeah.
So we're like, I remember that day.
It'll test any I'm not, like I said before, for those of you who just joined us, we kind of got cut off in the first round just a couple minutes in because of some internet connections here in the building, but I am not a handy guy around the house. Like I said, I'm not the guy who's going to fix your washer. I'm the guy that people call when they need it to be like taken up the stairs. Mm-hmm. And so I wish I was better at it, but my father was the type that just called somebody in to fix it. My stepdad was more of the fix it around the house. I wish I would have listened to him more. Now, later in life, I kind of wish I knew how to do more around the house than what I do, especially because I look like I'm the guy who should know how to do those things around the house. So there's definitely a factor there that when time comes for things to get done, I could be a little bit better than what I am around the house. That's not my big strong point right there. So, kudos to you, bro. Getting it done around the house and making things happen. We got some great stories here today, man. We're going to be jumping through a couple of these as we spend some time with everybody. Like we said before, it feels like it's been a while since you and I have been able to get on here and just have a conversation and be able to talk about some new stuff that is going on right now. And I want to turn our attention first to the developing story that is happening in I'm just going to say governor's race because I don't like that word gubernatorial. I can never pronounce it. So governor's race right now, everybody. There is a 3-person race happening right now for the Republican nominee to be governor. And let's be very frank. Whoever wins this primary is going to be the next governor of Florida. Florida is a red state now. It is no longer purple. Jolly is not going to win. Everybody wants to continue what DeSantis has done. And I believe what voters are looking for is either one of two things. Number one, they're just looking for they've heard of the most, who they feel like the most people are talking about. There are those people many years. So you've got this 3-person race between Donalds, Jay Collins, lieutenant governor, and James Fishback. Renner's fallen off. So you got a 3-person race. Things have been a little bit, people have been taking their little shots here and there, maybe something across the bow as a warning, but nothing crazy. All right. Well, that surely did change last week, everyone. 1 week before the primary, James Fishback took to the podium and accused Byron Donalds of being under federal investigation for trafficking. Can't say the word. We're on social here, everybody. At that point, he took no questions, and then he walks off the stage. I was sent this story, I don't know how many times, and I didn't even want to touch it because I thought it was AI. Like when you watch this guy talk, he reminds me of the Mark Zuckerberg when he went before Congress, and it's like his emotions and his face, it just looks all AI to me. And I've kind of thought to myself, I don't want to talk about this, but it's true. He did. Now, normally when these accusations come out, there's a waiting period, which I think if they're not true, what James Fishback was hoping for. During this waiting period, oftentimes what happens is you hear these, it's currently under investigation. We can't give a comment. We don't comment on open investigations. You start getting that, which leads a seed of doubt leading into the final week of a primary. That didn't happen here. The Department of Justice responded almost immediately, word for word, quote, "This claim is not true. Congressman Byron Donalds is not under investigation." They went on to say it's a dangerous form of weaponization. Okay. You cannot get more clear than that from the Department of Justice. Now, one would think at this point, Anthony, that Fishback is going to go, all right, man, my bad. All right, I got some stuff from a whistleblower. It was bad information. I don't want that to be what this election is about. So I'm backing off of this one. No. The guy doubled down in a response on X that the Department of Justice does not speak for U.S. attorneys. So he's saying, hey, listen, there's U.S. attorneys out there. We feel our evidence is credible, and that while the DOJ has come out, there are attorneys that we have spoken to, or I guess they have gotten information from, that they are corroborating what he is saying. So either one of two things is happening here. Either he fabricated the entire thing, which is just, talk about just taking a Hail Mary in the wrong direction, or he has received an anonymous voice within the federal government and or a whistleblower that has either not told him the truth, or they're so far ahead of the story that even the Department of Justice is not aware that this is coming down right now. What I believe is that when you're in an election and you're losing by some estimates of 30 points, I believe he took a Hail Mary in terms of an election, and he took the wrong Hail Mary. All right. This is not the way you do it. If this is not true, if it is not verified, this is not the way you go for things. If you want to throw out there the personal stuff, I get it. Maybe you're going to try to pull a few votes, 1 to 2 points in another direction. To go out there, hold a press conference, not take questions, and accuse somebody of trafficking, that is a major accusation to make, and you better have your facts straight before you do that. Now, I don't know what the facts are because I'm not in the Fishback camp. But what I can say, Anthony, is that this does not look good if you're a fan of James Fishback, because I would love to have him on the show. You know as well as I do, we have been in talks with his people. I'm communicating online to get him onto this show. I'm hoping to have him on this week still. I will say, as they watch this show, hey, y'all, you gotta clean this up here a little bit. Either one, if you want, you need to clean it up not only for this election, but for future elections with this man, because you can't come out and say this stuff and then not show the proof, not bring forward the individual. You had to be prepared for having to prove your point. You're 1 week away from the primaries right now, and you break this story out to everyone without any evidence other than you have a whistleblower, and the Department of Justice is wrong, and you're standing behind your word. You can't just move on from that comment and go, okay, now we're going to our next fundraiser. You have to be able to hold yourself accountable to an accusation like that. That is not Ronald Reagan, everybody had I think it was like an 11th commandment, he called it, which is basically don't say anything bad about other Republicans. It was just, hey, listen, within our own party, we're going to play by the rules. We're going to play nice. And then when we go to a general election, we'll play dirty over there. But the 11th commandment obviously is not working in Florida right now. A major accusation from James Fishback. And I am not ready to say that he lied. I won't do it, because if he's saying that he has a whistleblower, if he's saying that he has somebody out there that is corroborating what he's saying, my hope is that we can have him on the show this week and we can ask him the question directly. And I would ask that to his people. Hey, y'all, like, when are you going to come out here and clear the air about this just nasty accusation that you're making to somebody. You're talking about a man that has a family and you're accusing him of trafficking people. That is not like you, I don't know. I'm not saying it's good, but cheating on your spouse, terrible thing. I understand that. Trafficking women behind like your family's back, whole other level we're talking about here. And so I'm very cautious about this, but I'm going to say this for Fishback. If you don't have the evidence, if what you were doing was somebody put something in your ear that was uncorroborated and that you were like, hey, I don't have the evidence, but we're going to take a shot and you made a mistake. If that is the case, you need to drop out of the race now. You do not need to be in this race right now, and you need to make it a two-person race. If that is the case, you made a poor judgment. You accused somebody of a terrible, terrible crime of trafficking individuals. That is an awful, I mean, we're talking top of the top here when it comes to crimes and the awfulness. Now it's time to get out of the race. If what you don't have the evidence. Now, if you do, now's the time to put it up. So it's either one or the other here, everybody. You can't drop something like this a week before a primary and then say, well, I'm going to wait on it right now. There's just, that is not fair to his family. It's not fair to voters. And if that's what you care about, you must give the voters the facts that they can work off of. Even if you don't have all of those facts right now, you have to give them what you know to come out and make such a bombshell accusation against a Republican frontrunner for governor. Anthony, what are you thinking as you see this story come down?
Yeah, definitely agree. I feel like Fishback should have these evidence brought to light, like not next week, like now. We need to know, like, this is what you're accusing this person of. We need to see this, anything, at least something, to show us that, hey, what you're saying has legitimacy. But it right now doesn't seem like there is, and it seems just like he's using it as a way to win the election, which I don't like.
Yeah, this is doesn't look good. Like, there are certain things, right, that are, let's just say maybe it's illegal and it's illegal right on its face. All right. Someone DUI, they hurt somebody with, driving under the influence, right away, that's illegal. That's terrible. That's wrong. I don't know if this is illegal to say, but it's wrong if you're not going to come out and answer questions about what it is, why you said it, where you got the information. And I understand there are whistleblowers and there's laws around that, and I get it. But that doesn't mean you can't answer questions directly about it. And we looked this morning. I couldn't find any videos of him now answering questions about these accusations. It was my hope that we get James on either tomorrow, the next day, or Friday even, to answer questions directly about this accusation, because that is what Floridians want to know before so many go to the polls, even now for early voting, but then obviously come August the 18th. This one right here is a developing story, and one that does not right now look good for James Fishback. And I'll end by saying this, Anthony. If this is a case where he was deceived, he put out information in a long shot, he didn't get all the facts, he made a mistake, again, I want to say it is time to drop out of the race now. Drop out while there's still an opportunity for us to galvanize around somebody behind Byron Donalds, besides Byron Donalds. Because I can't find people that are at least our viewers of our show. You may not like Jay Collins that much. Maybe you don't like Fishback that much, or you weren't a renter. I don't know. But I can't find a conservative Republican that we've spoken to or that comments who's like, I am a huge Byron Donalds guy. And so I guess my question to Fishback is, if you do love the state of Florida and you want the best that there is for the state, I believe that most conservatives, and I don't know where the polling is coming from for Donalds. I don't know where these people are. We have not found them. But it's time to galvanize behind a secondary candidate who is not the, quote, front runner, because Fishback right now, you're not looking very credible to the audience. And in my opinion, if you can't justify what you said here, immediately drop out of the race and give people time, even though they're early voting now, to galvanize behind somebody like Jay Collins that is a viable and good alternative to the person again, I can't find conservatives that are like, boy, am I ever a Byron Donalds fan. Where are these people? It feels like crickets anytime. You can't get anybody to defend the dude. And not like anybody's, oh, I'm a huge Byron guy. Great for Florida. He's the perfect choice. Said no one that we've been able to find. So this one right here, I'm leaning towards him dropping out now and encouraging that. But I'm not ready quite yet, Anthony, because I'm hoping that he's going to do the decent thing and come out with the proof or at least explain why he dropped these terrible accusations right here.
Yeah, and he can't go back on it and just try to hide what he just said, just and be like, oh, like just didn't say it. He has to answer for this because this is something major.
It is major. Again, you're not accusing the guy of, you know what, he didn't get his degree from FSU. He got it from Santa Fe Community College. And okay, got it, man. All right, next. But you're accusing somebody of a terrible, terrible, heinous act. That is something that needs and deserves attention immediately. Speaking of August 18th, I want to move into more of a local side right here. We have been getting some questions, Anthony, online about how this whole voting thing actually works because, you know, everyone talks about August the 18th and there's primaries and not a lot of people have paid attention to elections outside of every 4 years when the president gets elected. That's like the big one that everyone thinks about. But these cases right here, these primary votes that happen are huge. And so thankfully, we appreciate our audience who's open and honest. They're like, hey, listen, I've been listening to your show. I think I should vote, but not really sure how this whole thing even works. Can I vote? Where should I go to vote? And so I want to just give a brief rundown of exactly how the local election is working in Orange County. And for the most part, you can kind of take what we're doing in Orange County if you're watching other places across Florida, and then do your research and base off what we're doing here. There's some similarities and some differences in other counties. So just, you know, put in a simple search on Google or wherever you find your information, and you can get the pretty simple information about how you can vote and what you can do. All right, so let's talk about it. First, Florida is a closed primary state, everybody. If it's a party race, Republicans can vote for Republicans and Dems can vote for Dems. All right, now here's where people normally get it wrong. Let's take the Orange County mayor's race. It's called nonpartisan. So are judges, so is the school board. This means every registered voter votes in those elections, or at least you can if you would like to. Republican, Democrat, Independent, no party at all. If you're registered, you have a ballot waiting on you to vote in those elections. Now, the mayor's race has a rule that does matter. Someone in that mayor's race that we have in Orange County, 4 people, needs to get over 50% plus 1, or the top 2 are going to go to a runoff in November. So your vote will decide so much next week. I don't think somebody's going to get 50%. We'll talk about that in a second. Now, next thing we need to look at is timing. Early voting is happening right now through Saturday the 15th. And when you do early voting within a county, you can go to a bunch of different places within the county to do early voting. Election day is different. There's a precinct that you're assigned that'll be open. I think it's 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on election day that you can go to. And you have a certain when that you have to go to on election day. But right now, on your lunch break in Orange County, you can go to a couple of different ones and you can look it up right on, I think it's like Vote. I want to make sure I get this right. Like, I can't remember the name. Oh, voteflorida.gov. So you can find a lot of information right there. And you can find that for whatever county that you're in right now, you can find out exactly what you need to do. What do you need to have on you? You need to have a photo ID that has your signature on it, driver's license, Florida ID card, a passport, military ID, concealed weapons permit, all of those things. There are 12 forms. Again, go to the website and you can find them there. Now, here's where people, I think, start to get things wrong. Address changes, wrong address on the ID, I can't vote, like that whole thing. That's not the case. As long as you do have one of the forms of ID, even if the address on your ID does not match your registration, like you moved recently, you can usually fix your address right there at the polls. If you forget your ID completely, you can still vote. It's called a provisional ballot, and your signature matches on file. You can't make this thing work. again, everybody, if you're not registered to vote for this election, by the way, you cannot do it. The deadline for the August 18th election was July the 20th. However, though, you do have the one for October the 5th. It's the deadline for the November 20th. Let me look it up. I don't remember which day it is in November. That the actual race is in November when the actual election is there. But I do know October the 5th is the deadline to vote for the November elections, or not to vote, to register for the November elections right there. So even if you miss this one, make sure that you get registered so that you can vote come November. I'm looking at this, Anthony, and a couple of things jump out to me. I believe that young people tend not to vote because they don't understand the rules of voting, right? And they feel like it's a complicated process. In the last 20 years, it's become much simpler. Basically, you go onto the website, you figure out where you can go to, you walk in, show them your ID, and you can vote. As long as you register, that's all you got to do. And you can just simply go to register online for vote. I mean, you can do a Google search, everybody, and you can find a way to do that, get it done, and then you can walk into any place during early voting, and you can get it done. It takes like a couple of minutes. You walk in and walk out the door. And during these primary elections, by the way, even on the election day, it's not like it's packed. All right. We know what brings out the big crowds. It's your big national elections, right? It's your Trumps, it's your Hillary Clinton, all that stuff. These smaller elections, even on election day, they aren't going to be huge crowds. But why not knock it out anywhere instead of having to go to your precinct there on the 18th? And we are 1 week out from making that happen. And that got me thinking, Anthony. I was like, okay, the big thing going on in Orange County and around Central Florida is who's going to be the Orange County mayor, right? A $9 billion budget. We've had a few of the candidates that have been on this show right here. I wish we could get Stephanie Murphy or Tiffany Moore Russell to come on the show. Now, we've been critical of their campaigns, but we've been critical of everybody's campaigns at a certain point. So maybe, hey, if you know one of these two candidates and they're willing to come on and talk about their platform, we'll introduce them to our audience, and we'd love to have them on. Come sit across and answer some questions. That goes out to Stephanie Murphy, Tiffany Moore Russell. Love to have you on the show. Love to talk to you. But it got me thinking, Anthony. I was like, okay, what are these people telling the public versus what does their platform actually say? And I want to dive into something I found very interesting. Would you be surprised to know I can only find one of the four candidates who is running ads on social media? Really? Yeah. Like, I would have thought as a campaign that all four would be running ads right now themselves on social media. Not the case.
Can I make a guess which one it is?
Tell me.
Is it Tiffany?
She is. You're right.
Okay.
Nice job. Tiffany Moore Russell, in my opinion, is doing the best job on social media right now. Now, I say that because Stephanie Murphy, Myra, and Chris, I can't find are running any ads from their pages right now. And their pages are their mayor pages, the ones that are regulated by whatever they're regulated by, the rules. Tiffany Moore Russell is running some ads. She's actually out there paying money to put her content in front of people, which to me would be a no-brainer right now. I don't understand the other three. Now, maybe they're relying on their party, but I'm talking about from your Facebook, Instagram to reach your audience. Why would you not be putting a daily budget behind video content to put it in front of people? I can tell you Tiffany Moore Russell is, and kudos to her. I mean, if she's got the budget for it, okay, it's not going to take that much, a few $100s a day, and you could blanket the area with some really good ads. And she's the only one right now that I see is doing it. Are they professionally made? Or the way that I would know? No. But okay, good for Tiffany Moore Russell. And I'm going to tell you, if Tiffany wins this race on August the 18th, I'm going to be looking back at this as a point where I go, you all missed the boat. Because she is putting herself in front of Orange County voters right now that others are not doing organically. You can reach, she's reaching, let's just say 100,000 people in a day in Orange County. Now, are all of them going to be Orange County residents? No, some people are going to be tourism, all that stuff. Cool. But she knows, at least her people know, who's ever running her campaign, that if she puts this content out to enough people and they've got some retargeting, basic retargeting on any marketing company would do, they're going to begin to see her name and they're going to begin to recognize it. And so much of when somebody goes into the voting box is not so much do you believe in their policies and do you know everything about them? It's name recognition. This is why incumbents have such a huge advantage over people that are coming in, because there's that name. When Buddy Dyer, you see it and you go, I don't recognize any of these other names on here. I don't want to screw it up. One of these guys might be a lunatic. Oh, Buddy Dyer. All right. They have an advantage. And Tiffany Moore Russell is taking advantage of that right now. The other thing is, I looked right now, Tiffany Moore Russell is using Orange County Clerk of Court on YouTube. That's actually her YouTube if you look it up right now. So you now, I'm not saying she represents, she's using her platform for the actual Orange County, but it says that on her stuff. So she's actually, and she's the face of it. So if you look up Orange County Clerk of Court on YouTube right now, you'll see a lot of content from Tiffany Moore Russell. Good for her. I don't like, she's using the platform for what it is. Now, she's got some stuff on Facebook, but so does everybody else, just some like cell phone videos, things like that, organic content. Stephanie Murphy, like nothing on YouTube that was recent. No recent videos. She took some stuff from the debate from a couple of weeks ago. But I mean, what are you doing, y'all? I've got, nothing from Chris Messina. Myra, I mean, like a couple of videos that I'm able to find on there on her page. It was very surprising to me the lack of effort that all candidates have put into social media. And for all of them, as I scroll through the reels, or I'm sorry, the shorts that they have, our content popped up for all, I think I definitely popped up for Tiffany Moore Russell. It popped up down for, all of them. It popped up for like us talking about those candidates. And I was thinking to myself, boy, what a disservice to themselves, because all of these Orange County voters out there, they all use these apps, everybody. Why would you not on your page have a staple video at the top that when somebody looks up your name, they see this is what you stand for? It's like they're living in the Stone Age running this campaign, and I don't know where they're spending their money, but I would not be leaving in front of a camera, whatever seat, for the next week. All I would be doing is having people post content, because if you go to a town hall, imagine how many people you're going to get at a police station. 100 if you're lucky. If you're real lucky, 100. That's all. You could put an ad out for $10 a day and reach thousands of people with your content. I don't understand this move at all, Anthony, leading up to this August 18th primary that we have. I would have thought that every single one of these candidates was pushing out content, paid content through their platforms right now.
And especially since like Tiffany Moore Russell's doing it, but she doesn't have any competition. So she's the only one that all these ads are playing. So she's the only one that people are going to see when it comes to it. So it's kind of.
Yeah. And people, listen, I've been the first one to give Tiffany Moore Russell a hard time. I'll also be the first one to say she's doing it right. All right. Like, you may not like the person's policies. You may not think she's done a great job at the clerk of court, but that doesn't mean or take away from what she is doing right now to push herself ahead of what others are doing. Not a good move. This is where Chris, Myra, and Stephanie, you all are losing here, because there are a lot of eyeballs for a small amount of money going on Tiffany Moore Russell. And I'm going to see, man, let me tell you what, Anthony, if this thing comes down to a couple thousand votes, which it probably will, and it's going to be, and Tiffany Moore Russell wins that thing, this is the defining moment right here. This is what wins elections. It's slivers.
Yeah.
It's not the speech that you make. It's not the debate, because everybody sees that. It's these little things that you do behind the scenes that move the needle right here. Her running these ads that others are not running, in my opinion, could move the needle a couple of thousand votes over the next week. I really hope that the others get with the picture if they want to stay in this very close race that we have over in Orange County. Any final words on this? It was very surprising to me.
No, yeah, I feel like it's going to be a really close race next week, right?
Yeah, the 18th. So we are 1 week away right now. So we'll be 1 week away. There'll be so much news that is going to be breaking left and right that I don't even know what to do with myself. But we'll be talking about that next week. I'll be very interested to see how this plays itself out.
I feel silly, but I think for me and a lot of people, this is probably the first time I'm ever going to see Orange County mayor race. Is it one of those where it's finished that day, or is it take the next day.
God, I hope it's the same day. Like, come on, people. Like, let's just get it done. My opinion is that we're not going to get 50% for one individual. I think this is, you've got 3 Democrats that are in this thing, right? Mm-hmm. So now it's going to be the top 2 that get through this thing. My gut tells me, God, it's tough. It's tough. You got Stephanie Murphy's got a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Okay. Tiffany Moore Russell's got a lot of name recognition, but so does Myra. I don't think that Chris Messina is going to be able to pull it out only because he doesn't have the D behind his name. All right. I love what Chris represents. I'm so happy. I hope one day me and him are close friends. I love what man represents. Just a very difficult race for him. But Myra's trending up. I think she's catching. It's just, can she keep the momentum up over the next week and catch up with your Tiffany's and your Stephanie Murphy? My gut tells me that Stephanie Murphy right now might be the front runner. My gut, just because of the amount of money that's been poured into her. But I think it's anybody's race. I think that the top 2, I really hope are not. Let's see who the top 2 are. I want a top 2. I don't think someone's going to get over 50% in this race right here. I don't. It's 4 people. I think it's going to be split. And then I think what's going to be very interesting is where the Chris Messina vote goes. That's going to be the key. If we get to the point where we only have 2, we knock out the other 2, where are those more conservative voters going to put their ballot? We'll be talking about that after the 18th, assuming nobody gets over that 50% mark. We'll see what happens there. I want to turn our attention to something we've talked about before, Anthony, which is, people think about this mayor's race as the person who's going to be making decisions, but I think it's very clear to me who actually owns Orlando. And by owns, I mean, who's the main draw of Orlando? If I was to ask anybody, who's the main draw? What would they say? Disney. Yeah. Disney's the main person that draws in everything. Disney runs Orlando, Disney. That's cool. I was thinking, I was like, is that the case though? Because I keep on hearing all about Epic Universe. I keep hearing about all the records that Epic Universe is now experiencing when it comes to attendance. And so I was very curious to look at the numbers of who is actually drawing in the record crowds, over to Orlando. And the answer is Disney, unequivocally. All right, I'm going to just spoiler alert. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than what it is. Nah, it's not even close, everybody. I wanted to look at the scoreboard here if you're in Central Florida. Annual Magic Kingdom, about 17.8 million. It's the most visited theme park on Earth for 19 straight years. After that, I was surprised that number 2 is Epcot at 12 million. Hollywood Studios dropping in at 10 million. Then Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure, about 9.5 million each. Animal Kingdom, about 9 million people right there. If you add it all up, you've got about 51 million guests per year and about 21 or 51 million guests per year. And then about 21 million over for Universal. It's a 30 million person gap is what it is. So 50 versus 20 million. It's a big gap between the Universal parks and the Disney parks. I thought it was going to be a lot closer. So Epic Universe is projected about 9 million. That slots it 4th or 5th. It's impressive for 1 year, but it's nowhere near knocking Disney off of the throne that it is. The other thing that I found interesting, I wanted to discuss this. Epic opened and Universal's attendance jumped 12%, which sounds like a big win. But if you take away Epic's numbers from that, Universal's other 2 parks dropped 12%. Think about that. So you rope them all together, of course, Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, Epic, they're all, that's the Universal, that's it right there. And honestly, Universal and Islands of Adventure, I almost kind of think are the same park, really. You just walk from those to the other. But if we rope those 3 parks in right there, what they're basically saying is attendance went up over here for Epic, but on the other one, it dropped over here. So you kind of like, it's almost like the
Kinda even
crowd
out.
went from one over to the other. So Epic isn't growing Orlando. Basically, what it's doing is it's eating its own lunch. Now, I don't necessarily believe that it's not growing. I want to be clear about that because I think there are new people that are coming in to see Epic Universe, and I think that's an overall win. But you need to at least look at the fact that you've got park attendance down on one side and park attendance up on the other side over here. There is something to be said there. I also believe that what you're seeing is that families who normally would go to Universal that do like an annual pilgrimage that they want to go to. Well, of course, if they're going to go, if they've been 9 times to Universal, they're going to say, let's try the new park, Epic Universe. That doesn't mean that they've left Universal forever or anything like that. It just means they've looked at another option that is available to them. The other thing I want to point out right here. So Disney remains the king. We had $34 million in tourist tax money come in the June. It is a record, everyone, for Orange County. I understand there's more money that has come into Orange County in June. I don't have July's numbers right now. Here's what I want everyone to understand about this, because everyone's going to go, look, Patrick, that Visit Orlando that you make fun of all the time is doing their job. I want everyone to pump your brakes here a little bit. Because what's actually happened is less individuals are coming to the parks. Comcast owned that. Comcast said it. They've softened their numbers for June. The numbers look more like they would for September right now. But what's happening is the people that are coming to Orlando are, I say Orlando loosely, that are visiting Central Florida are spending more per capita than what they did previously. So although attendance drops overall, we see more people spending, and so therefore you have record numbers right there. Now, I've said before, why are people spending record amounts at the parks? Well, because they're becoming better at what they do, everybody. The parks aren't dumb. Disney's not an idiot. They're $1 billion for a reason. And it's because they understand that they need to get more out of the guests that are coming. So they developed experiences in order to make that happen. Experiences when the hotel, experiences in the parks. These are things where you're squeezing a little bit more money out of each guest to make sure that those revenues continue to climb. They have to do something because they know that a new generation of people, kids, are not as interested in going to the parks as what they were 20 years ago. That's not to say the parks don't offer a lot. There's just more entertainment options that are available out there than what there was 20 years ago for the guy who's in Huntsville, Alabama. And so these numbers, as they come in, are very fluid when it comes to Orlando and the greater Central Florida area. I am willing to admit that there's a good amount of money that's coming in from for the tourist development tax. Good. Got it. $34 million coming in for that, and a large part of that is going over to Visit Orlando. Got it. Does that mean that one equates to the other? That because of the work that one does over here, does that mean that they receive the result over here? To me, it's not an A to B jump. That there's a lot of things in between there and squiggly lines that get us directly over to here. And this story right here is evident of that, in my opinion. And so I want people to understand, when you see things like records and record numbers, whoa, record what? Record revenue. Okay. What about number of people, right? Because here's my theory, Anthony. I've said it before on this show. My theory is this. Over time, you can only squeeze so much out of an individual before that individual goes, enough. You squeeze me for everything that I can get. We saw that right now, in fact, hotels went up higher to $222 a night. That's up 18%. Why do you think hotels are raising their rates, everybody, in June? Well, they're doing it because they understand less rooms are being booked and they have to make up for that difference in price. That's not to say that they're not making money. It just means they're being smart in how they're going ahead and pricing the rooms right now, knowing that that person who's willing to spend more is going to come in there. And therefore, what do we get with the TDT? We get numbers to go up. These are the things right here that are nuanced that we have to look at before we just read the headline and go, record numbers, record numbers. Let's take a look, peel it back a little bit for the theme and the pattern that we are seeing. I have said so many times, Anthony, on this show, what we will most likely see is after we squeeze, you're about to see a fourth quarter that's going to be a very bad fourth quarter for the parks. And as we move into 2027, they will not recover in the same way again. That is my theory. You can put me on record, clip it for Patrick either being wrong or right. But I'm looking at the attendance numbers and I'm looking at people in America and I'm thinking, how much more can you squeeze out of an American audience? I'm not talking about international travel. And I think that we've come to the point where they've relied on squeezing enough out of that juice that if you can't get more people to come, numbers flatline, attendance drops, and that's when we start to see a completely different story in the headlines. I'm just looking at it ahead of that point for the trends that I see right now.
Yeah. And I think too, at least personally, from what I've seen this year, I feel like the market's not doing great. And I think it's going to catch up to the theme parks soon. Right now, a lot of these people coming in from internationals, they're already bought their plane tickets, bought their theme park tickets like well in advance. So I feel like once a couple months later, once it's going to be them booking the next thing, they're not going to be doing it. So it's going to start seeing a decrease in the attendance.
I think there will be. And I think that we also have to be cognizant of the time of the year. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to beat people up over a drop in attendance because it's become school time is back, right? Yeah. Like, let's not be stupid about this. What we can do is we can compare year-over-year numbers. We can look at what hotels are doing. We can look at occupancy rate. We can look at what they're doing with their room rate, their rack rate that they're offering right now. And what we see is when I see hotels increasing their price per room, it's telling me they're not selling out the rooms. So they're doing something to make up for. And everybody's aware of it, and you don't know where it is, but you know it's going to be there, where you have a law of diminishing returns where you say, okay, I've raised the rate, but if I raise it to this level right here, I start to have people that don't book. So where is that magic number? I think we, in my opinion, work very close to it right now.
Yeah.
And so as those continue to rise, as attendance drops, how do you therefore make up the difference? It's with more people, and I don't see more people are going to come to the parks right now with so many alternatives that are available. That is my opinion. I will be clipped and I will either be told that I am dead wrong. I don't know, in 6 months, let's just say, or I'll be the one sitting here clipping my own stuff and telling people, look at what I told you back in August. And everyone said, no, Patrick, everything's great. Record numbers. Nope. You had to look a little bit deeper. And I believe that we're going to get our dividends paid to us when it comes 6 months down the road, brother.
Yep.
All right. I want to talk about last couple of stories here because this one's really interesting, man. There's a controversy that's happening down in Fort Myers, everybody. And Fort Myers is not one to be in the news, bro. It's kind of a sleepy little town down there. You know, Southwest Florida, Fort Myers, Naples. I don't really hear much about what's going on down there, but they are planning to build and build big over in Fort Myers. All right, they're looking. We're at $8 to $10 billion in development moving through its downtown area right now. All right, I want to give you a list of some of these projects because they're absolutely crazy. A nearly $1 billion Lee Health Hospital campus, one Fort Myers, a 21-story building, Legacy Harbor, two 25-story towers on the river, Catalyst, a 50,000 square foot Class A office space, a Dallas company overhauling the yacht basin, roughly 60 acres transforming all at once. And it looks like it's being done primarily by what? Private money, everyone. That's investors stepping into Fort Myers and saying we're going to risk our own capital because we believe Fort Myers is going to grow in the next decade. Now, what did the city do? They sold some stuff. So the city did. They said, okay, hey, listen, they sold 10 acres to a developer for $11.5 million, and then the city got out of the way. They just moved. They said, okay, y'all, go build. And now listen, I'm not saying that Fort Myers is not going to get pushback. There are a lot of residents in Fort Myers right now that are very upset. And they believe that because of this development that is coming their way, $8 to $9 billion in development from private industry, that Fort Myers may lose some of its charm. And I think there's some real concerns about that, especially for people that have retired to that area and that's their forever home that they have now. You probably moved there because you didn't want these huge billion-dollar projects. You may have moved from the Northeast down to Fort Myers because you wanted to avoid those things. But my point in my story is that government got out of the way. Government got out of the way and allowed private industry and capitalism to work. And they said, you know what? Instead of halting this thing, instead of saying, no, you know what? We're just going to sell the land and then let private developers do what they do best. Build things that make money and bring in people because they're capitalist. And that's what I love about this story. And you're going to hear about this in the months to come where individuals are all up in arms. And yeah, cool. That's good. I get it. They should have their opportunity to talk about zoning in Fort Myers, to talk about the things that are going wrong down there in their city. And Orlando should probably take a lesson from this. Get this, everyone. I've often said on this show, drive up and down I-4, and there's one thing you're going to miss seeing, which is cranes. There's no buildings going up. A lot of renderings, a lot of artist renditions of what's supposed to come around the corner, but nothing ever comes to fruition. It's just like we get these like Fidage, and I talk, okay, we're going to come with this, and it's going to be a park, and there's going to be Westcourt, and there's going to be this building, and look at this rendering of like what's going to go up by Lake Eola. It's going to be beautiful, and then nothing ever happens. All right. I want to talk about that one though, because if anyone's ever seen, there's this like tower by Lake Eola that everyone was talking about. That's like 30, I don't know what let me look right here. It's 37 stories that was supposed to be built by Lake Eola. Where's that thing? Any groundbreaking on that one? So I did a little research on it. It's a 37-story building, 425 feet, condos and a hotel. It sounded fantastic when everyone heard about it. I saw all my realtor friends out there putting their videos together of what's going to come down to downtown Orlando, right? Except nothing's happened, everybody. Nothing's happened since 2017. A developer bought it in 2018 for $3 million. They planned the hotel, got design approvals. They got it 3 separate times. And what do you know? Nothing's ever happened. And there's no construction timeline. So all we have is a dislocated budget and renderings of what could be. On a wider note, looking across downtown Orlando, we researched this morning, and I could be wrong because this is just a simple research that I was looking at, but we did see that there are 0 projects under construction in Orlando right now. 4 have been announced, but 0 are under construction. Total new residential units in the pipeline, 871. And guess who the most active developer is in those 871 units? The city of Orlando. And when I look at this, I think, oh boy, what's going on? And I want to pair this in a minute with another downtown closing that was been announced just as of this morning. But I want everyone to take a moment and think, like, something's wrong. People, well, yeah, Pat, no shit. Fix Orlando. We know something's wrong. You're clear about it. But if you're just joining my show, if you're listening in your car or at work, I understand that you get tired of me saying there's a problem. And look, I'm going to show you another restaurant that's closing down in just a second. A problem. But part of solving a problem is clearly identifying what the problem is. The problem with Orlando is that private industries are not investing in the city. And so we're at a stalemate right now where development is not happening. It is my opinion that what the city planned to do was the city planned to move out a lot of the entertainment district that it had a problem with, that nightlife area that the city can't stand. And it's clear, in my opinion, they can't based on the laws like AMS fees that they put in. And so what they did is they squeezed the entertainment district. And that means they squeezed restaurants, they squeezed bars, they squeezed entertainment, all these venues. And a lot of them couldn't make it. And there's still more probably to come down the pipeline, which I understand. So you squeeze. Their plan was to build, which would therefore replace everything that they squeezed out of Orlando. The problem is they missed it by about a year. All right. They squeezed too hard and the new development didn't get built. And so what happened is you've got this pendulum that never swung. That pendulum means that private investors looked at Orlando and said, I wanted to invest. I'm open to it. Yes. Okay. I'll take the risk. Whoa. Now they back off, because then they looked at the downtown landscape and they said, this value of this land, the return I'm going to get on my investment doesn't make sense anymore. So they backed off of the private investment. This is what, in my opinion, you saw over at Westcourt. Westcourt is the big development, multi-use shops, hotel. It's got everything, right? Basically, Westcourt is going to be just as a better version, in my opinion, of iDrive, like what it should be. But it was going to be for Orlando. I really love this property. It's right there next to the Kia Center. It's that big plot of land that everyone just looks at and goes, I guess that's the parking lot for the Kia Center. That was going to be Westcourt, and yet it can't be built. And here's what happens is that these developers get a great idea. They're like, okay, I think I'm good with this money. I'm going to get this much return. And then they're seeing downtown decay. And all of a sudden, the people who advise those people are going, hey, listen, I don't think you're going to get what they thought you were going to get out of this thing. So, whoa, okay, hold on. My 60% I was going to put into this project, I'm only willing to invest 50% based on the numbers I'm seeing right now. Now I've got a gap of 10% that I have to make up. City looks at that and go, well, we ain't making it up. Other investors look at it and go, I'm not making it up. Okay, now we stall. And so nothing happens. This is how this works to me. And I think that most people can go, yeah, I kind of see that. And so you have these That's what I would say. And so this is where, for me, when I talk about fixing Orlando, I want people to see they are doing it in other cities in Florida right now. Government getting out of the way and letting private industry come into the city and fix the problems. Now, yes, residents down there will say it's the problem aren't fixed. They're starting problems. But in Orlando, I don't see anybody coming up and going, oh, no, you're destroying that plot of land that's been there for 10 years doing absolutely nothing. We're not like we're destroying beautiful beachfront property right here, everybody. What we're looking for is something than an old brick building in downtown Orlando that people will actually want to live in, go to, walk by. I don't think it's that difficult of a problem to solve.
Yeah. And I think as far as like downtown, I feel like the last building, the major building that was there is like the tourist building. And I think that was like, okay, we're going to start making all these great places like the tourist building, have like that rooftop bar that they have, all this.
You know, the one that overlooks the Kia Center?
Yeah.
That's a cool place.
Yeah. I used to work in that building, so I used to.
I really liked it when they built that building.
I feel like that was the last building that they had, and then like they were trying to build something similar, and then they just kind of squeezed out too much. Like I was saying with the AMS fees, all the other places in downtown.
They did. Westcourt, there could have been so much. So let's just take two properties. If you take that 37-story building that I'm talking about by Lake Eola, build that up, all right? And you took Westcourt right now. My story, I'm taking this hat off, and we're making progress right now.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And so you look at this, and I drove downtown, man, and I was driving downtown there on Saturday. I said, I was after the Jay Collins event that I went to. I'm going to swing through. Let me just see what downtown was looking like. It was about 10 o'clock at night. And I looked down Church Street, and there is still, of course, there's construction going on that little street. It's just like dirt right now. Mm-hmm. And the curbs are still there. But just some dirt. All they did was just dig up some bricks, right? It's just sitting there. It's like a ghost town looking down that. I drove past, I got the light, I looked down. I'm like, what? There's not a soul. It's just nothing. Mm-hmm. And it's just so sad to see. We were so close, and then they just fumbled like they always do in the city of Orlando. And everyone gets excited, and then disappointment. It's like Lucy and what is it that when she moves the football? Charlie Brown.
Yeah,
You know, and you always see it's like, I kicked the ball and she moved. Charlie goes backward and stuff. That's how it feels for the city of Orlando. It's constantly just moving the ball and nothing ever happens. We got our final couple of stories here for you all right now. I want to talk. I haven't seen. Have you seen this video yet? Have you watched it?
No.
Edgewater, the mayor over there. I don't even know how to pronounce the guy's name. Name is Diesel or Depew. It's like that. Remember that skunk from that car? Depew. Like you do like I don't know if that's the guy's name. I never heard of the guy before. But there's some controversy going on over there. He's a mayor, bro. He's like the youngest. He was elected mayor as a teenager.
Oh my gosh.
And there's some, I guess, some controversy on Thursday night, late at night, before early voting opened. Mayor Depew. I don't know how to pronounce. If that's not how you pronounce his name, it just is a better way to say it. All right, so I can just go with that because I just think Depew is a better way to say it. He calls the police on himself because somebody moved his campaign sign outside New Smyrna Beach Library. So he actually made the call himself. By the end of the night, a 74-year-old campaign volunteer who's a disabled Navy veteran with ALS named Donna McDavid says his 7-foot sign hit her in the nose and the chest. Her phone was recording body cam footage from the officer who responded. Shows Depew placing the sign directly in front of her. The officer standing right there asked him why he pushed it against her. And now the complaint is sitting at the state attorney's desk. Misdemeanor battery is in review right now. Depew says it's a false police report, a baseline political attack, and that 3 of his witnesses were never interviewed. No charges have actually been filed. No injuries have been reported. That is actually what we got going on. If you're there, like, I do kind of remember this Depew guy. He, like, there was some kind of like 4 years ago, I think when he was elected, there was a big sign controversy where there in New Smyrna, signs were being stolen. And then he ended up putting like cameras up and catching people, like the person stealing his signs. It was like a big sign thing. I actually think in New Smyrna, like signs are a big deal. I've read this somewhere. If somebody knows this, if somebody's watching, like chime in, let me know. I've heard there's like sign wars in like in New Smyrna, it's like a big deal. And I think that's why this guy probably had some 7-foot sign out there before early voting, that it's been like this bigger deal in that county or in that area, how people treat signage or something there. Don't know why. This story is just comical to me because, like, sign wars, he touched my nose with like the tip of it, like, oh my gosh, the mayor is a bad person. I will say this: when I saw the story come across, Depew does not look like he kind of looks. The problem is he's got that kind of political look to him, in my opinion. That is, I don't know. If you're going to blame a guy for doing something like that, he just kind of seems like the dude that would do that when you look at him. I don't know. Just to me, he screams, he's probably not doing himself much justice by being a guy who looks like a politician. He just looks like that dude who's a politician, who's just made to be a politician. The whole thing, the whole get up. He's a young man. I mean, he's got to be in his early 20s. But this right here, it's people have seen it. They've sent me the story, so I wanted to cover it. Folks, I think this is a nothing burger right here. Okay, so some people were getting in an argument outside of an early polling station. Can we all agree that it's just nice that people are so passionate about their local politics that they're holding signs at 11:45 at night? I didn't even know people were this passionate about what's going on over in that area. So I just hope it turns into a great race to be the next mayor of this area over in Edgewater. That's in the New Smyrna area over there. Final story of the day is a developing one right now. Another restaurant has closed its doors in downtown Orlando. I can't make this stuff up, everybody. I've had no less than a dozen people that have sent me this story this morning. Anthony, I cannot pronounce the name to this restaurant because I have not been, but it seems to be very popular for individuals. Los Los Tres Golpes.
I have no idea.
Okay. It's on North Magnolia. It's a Dominican hotspot. Let's see here. Excuse me. Looks like it's a Dominican hotspot. And I haven't been, but it was one of those late night spots. Forgive me, everybody. We're going for an hour here talking. All right. So, open till 4 a.m. on some nights. It looks like it has closed. It did. What we're hearing, there's not been an official statement from the restaurant itself, but we are getting statements from the owners, I guess, on their personal IGs and personal social media. We can't verify the story yet through any major platform like that we would normally go to that we would trust. But I do believe I'm seeing the story probably a dozen people. When I wake up to something like this, it tells me that a lot of people are talking about it. And I got the same story sent to me like a dozen times this morning. When I woke up, I had it. And then people are sending it to me. I love our audience. They're like, look, another one. And I'm not surprised at this. This appears to be a place that was great for late night food. Everything that I could see, thousands upon thousands of followers and just their IG alone. Great Dominican food from what I'm able to gather here. Again, I've never been, but a great late night spot. And just like, our place last week, Gringos Locos, right? Closing. I'm not saying that is only the reason why by any means, but it's a contributing factor when you have these places that rely on a large crowd to come at night, and the crowds that are willing to come to these places are getting smaller in downtown Orlando. You're going to continue to see closings like this. And each and every one has a ripple effect on the downtown entertainment scene. And I'm going to tell you this, as we see more of these close, because now that it's this one, it's a ripple effect down the line. And then it becomes one thing else. People lose their jobs. They lose their business. And if you've owned a business, I mean, it's brutal. And I don't sit here and take that lightly. And they've not come out with any kind of statement on this one. I don't really think they need to. I think it's very clear. No foot traffic that we have, no traffic anymore after, late night. That's why they stayed open till 4 a.m. because they got a lot of good traffic and money they were making there. And without that, they probably lost some of their margins over the last year. And they said, we can't do it anymore. And there's no hope in sight. So I don't know their story at all. But a lot of small businesses, what they do at that point is they have to make an assessment. That assessment is, do I take out another loan? Do I think things are going to get better in the future, or do I just close my doors?
Yeah.
They made the decision to close their doors, allegedly, apparently, everything that we're seeing online. And I can't blame somebody for making that decision. If you look at the downtown landscape and you don't think things are changing in the next 6 months, why would you pour more money when your margins are not there? You're not going to be able to reshape your location. You could reshape your business model, but that's a big risk that you're going to have to take. And so they probably looked at it and said, not anymore. And they walk away. And again, I don't have the information, but that is what as a small business owner, when I look at this story, that's what I think.
Yeah, and it's sad. It's not like the businesses, like they've been there for thriving for years, and most of them, and it's not anything that they're doing different. It's just the culture, just everything around the area downtown. No one's really wanted to go there. And two places I'll be super sad if they end up leaving downtown would be like Mathers and Hanson's Shoe Repair. And like those two are like kind of like more like upscale kind of. So I don't know if too many people, but those are like, I would be so heartbroken at those two places.
Mathers is a what I call an anchor. There are certain, like for instance, you go to a shopping center, right?
Yeah.
And there's a Publix in the shopping center. The Publix is the anchor of the shopping center. Without the Publix, the dry cleaners, the FedEx store, the Firehouse Subs, all the ones that are in that shopping center close because the anchor is gone. You used to see this a lot in malls. There were anchor stores like JCPenney's, Dillard's, Sears. And then in the middle of all these stores, you had all the smaller stores, right?
Yeah.
That's how downtown Orlando is built as well. There are anchors within the entertainment district, within the residential district. And if those start to fall, the anchors, the ripple effect will be so quick, it won't even be funny. Like it'll just be, you can't even laugh. I mean, it's going to be lightning quick. Mathers is one of those anchors. Because the way that these anchors work is that they bring in people who will spend money not only at that place, but at the surrounding locations around it. And so someone comes into Mathers, drops a $300 on them and their boys, and then goes next door and buys a $700 bottle.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. That happens all the time. If you don't have the draw to get those people in that group down into Orlando to drink and make a bad decision and go next door and buy a bottle and hang out and watch a show, then you lose, everybody loses that business. Mathers is one of those locations, and there's only a few of them in downtown Orlando. That one falls, write it down right now. It's done. It's game over. There are only a few of them that are there. I would be very sad if that one goes. I remember when that thing, I mean, it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Done well. Yes. Are the drinks expensive? Good.
Yeah.
All right. It should be. It's a great experience. At Christmas time, the people there do an amazing job. They wrap all the rafters, the tree. It's got a certain nostalgia to it when you exact same thing. I don't know what they use, but like even like during Christmas time, it's got a very like that kind of like you're walking to a fresh like hotel like kind of thing. It definitely has some of that smell. I agree with you. We'll be very interested, Anthony. I agree with you. I haven't talked to the owners of Mathers. I don't know how they're feeling about this. I don't know if it's like coming up around, like they got 6 more months a year. They're like, oh, we're in it for the long run. No idea.
Have you been to Hanson's Sea Repair?
No.
It's
Where's
like
that?
right next to Mathers, like maybe just a block or two down.
Okay.
But it's like there's like 2 floors. So there's like one floor, it's like just like a regular bar.
Okay.
But you go up the stairs and then there's like a speakeasy. And the only way to get the code is like an Instagram thing.
Oh.
And you knock on the door, you say the code. And there's only like they only limit, I think, like 20 people in there. So it's like really small.
Nice.
But they have like all these incense candles and it's like all like lit up and there's like candle wax all over the place because it's like super old and they just keep putting more candle wax on.
Nice.
And it has like the spooky thing. And then they have like a rooftop there with like a movie playing like from the 30s. It's super cool.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Look at that. Someplace I need to go check out actually. So I think I've been to everywhere, but I have not been to that one. So I'm gonna have to go check it out. But folks, that's our stories for the day. We appreciate you joining us. We wanted to do a kind of a long show here with you. We're just kind of talking about some issues that we were able to find. It's been a while, it feels like, since we did it's like a one-on-one show where we took some time to just be able to talk to you as an audience. We do appreciate everybody who joins us because hopefully we make some of these stories entertaining for you. As always, if you got something, shoot it over to us, Anthony at thepatrickcarshow.com. You can send Anthony over any stories you want us to cover. If you have any questions for us over here, that's Anthony at thepatrickcarshow.com, and you can reach us right there. We appreciate everybody. We've got a great podcast coming out later today, it looks like, Anthony.
Yeah.
Man, that one's going to be fun. If you love the Second Amendment, you're going to love this podcast. That's all I can say. All right. And we should have that one coming out just a little bit later this afternoon. Anthony's working hard on it right now. We appreciate each and every one of you. Join us here every day for the Patrick Carr Show. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow here. All right. Have a great one.